Hurricane Irene right now lashing the mid-Atlantic states with hurricane-force winds, pounding rain, and it's just getting started. Irene forecast to hug the eastern seaboard, affect every major city from Washington, D.C. up to Boston. More than 2.5 million residents are under evacuation orders, including 500,000 across the tri-state New York area as the city declares mandatory evacuations for the first time in New York City history. We have live team coverage up and down the East Coast, covering all the angles right here, right now, on a special Saturday edition of Wake Up with Al. Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, August 27th, 2011. Welcome to a special edition of Wake Up with Al. I'm Al Roker along with Stephanie Abrams here, Long Beach Island, New York. This being a barrier island, very much like the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
That it is, and right now we have Irene at a Category 1, 90-mile-per-hour winds, but do not let your guard down. This is a massive storm, tropical storm force winds extending out almost 300 miles.
Well, that's right, and with this unprecedented threat to the East Coast, we're providing unprecedented coverage right here on the Weather Channel.
All right, so we want to tell you the stories that we are telling. Jeff Morrow's helping us talk about Irene and Atlantic Beach getting nailed this morning alongside Mike Seidel there in Nags Head. Those are both in North Carolina. And, of course, our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb. The best information that you could get, the most experience on TV. That's
right. This is a huge storm. Hurricane Irene right now with 100, I should say it is moving at northeast at 14 miles per hour. Its winds at 90 miles per hour and a barometric pressure reading of 952 millibars. All
right, so I'll show you where this is going to go. It will make its way through North Carolina today. As we get into overnight tonight, the mid-Atlantic, and then tomorrow, it will be an issue into the northeast. The good thing is it is going to pick up speed.
That's right, but it is a massive storm, and to get a sense of what it's doing right now, let's go to Jeff Morrow in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. Jeff, of course, the situation deteriorating as we speak.
Yeah, and it looks like the eye's going to pass very, very close to where we are here in Atlantic Beach, perhaps just off to the east. We'll have to wait and see over the next couple of hours as it moves on shore. So we are going to get a landfall here. If we are on the west-hand side, we'll probably be in the western eye wall. We may be getting into some of that now. The rain and the wind is pretty relentless. I would say the winds are sustained here probably somewhere in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range. And occasionally we get gusts higher than that, probably up over 60. And as you heard a little bit earlier, we've had some reports confirmed out on Cape Lookout of 76 miles an hour. That's hurricane force. And an unofficial gust here in Carteret County of 93. But I can believe it. There's some really, really strong wind. But what really amazes me, guys, and I can't show it to you right now, but I will be showing it to you shortly, is the ocean. It is just unbelievable behind me here. It is, whoa, literally eating the beach away right now as we're coming into high tide as we head through the morning hours. It is just unbelievable. There is a pier out here, and as soon as the sun comes up and we get some more light in about an hour or so, I'm hoping that the whole pier is still there. We've been seeing some pieces of wood wash up on the shore, so I'm not sure that all of that pier is still intact. Again, we're under a state of emergency here, folks. If you can watch me, the power is out here, but if you are in an area that has power, just hunker down here and wait this one out. It'll start to get better probably by this afternoon, but for right now, it is best to stay indoors. Only really crazy meteorologists tend to stand out in stuff like this. Al, back to you.
That's right, and of course, both of us guilty as charged. Jeff, thank you, and stay safe.
Meanwhile, over at Cape Look, whoa, conditions are trying to say the least, but we're doing the best we can under some bad situation. It is just unbelievable behind me here. It is, whoa, literally eating the beach away right now as we're coming into high tide as we head through the morning hours. It is just unbelievable. Part of the pier actually has been taken off. About the last 30 yards of it or so have been sheared off overnight. And looking at it from my perspective, there's probably a little bit more that is in danger of coming down as well. And the end of the pier here in front of the hotel that we've been staying at here in Atlantic Beach has been completely sheared off. The last about 40 yards of it are completely gone. Pieces of it actually are littered up and down the beach here.
That was our meteorologist Jeff Morrow this morning in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, very close to where the eye of Irene made landfall at 7:30 this morning near Cape Lookout. We're joined again by hurricane expert Dr. Rick Knabb, and it's not just at the location where we had landfall. I mean, the effects are all of eastern North Carolina. It seems like from I-95 all the way to the water.
Yeah, getting hammered with some really heavy rain in eastern North Carolina and in southeastern Virginia now. I don't want to forget about those folks. They're getting in on the tropical storm conditions already.
Right in between there, the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Mike Seidel has been reporting for us all morning long from Nags Head. Mike, how you holding in there, buddy? I mean, it's been a tough go with these bands that just hammered you.
You got that right, Mike and Dr. Knabb. I'll feel this in about 2 days, I think. You know, this old band here. What I want to show you, though, and what we've been talking about a lot, is how they built up this beach nice and wide, and certainly for tourism, so you have a nice beach to come out, but it also provides a protective factor out here on Nags Head. And we weren't sure about the erosion because of the higher tide. Now the tide is trying to go out, but what you'll notice here, a channel has formed, and I'm going to walk down in it. You can see the beach out here and the sand being blown, the low visibility back towards Jeanette's Pier. But I'm going to walk down in here, and you can see how the water, how I walk down. So there has been a channel cut here, and this is the same thing. This is the same idea what's going on south of me along Highway 12 near Rodanthe. That's a narrow spit of land. Basically, it's a giant dune on either side of that road, and they've got the heavy construction equipment there to reopen the roadway as soon as this storm clears out. But you see that how the water channels out kind of like a rip current, and then it will come back in with each succeeding wave. You get up here on the higher spot, and we're in pretty good shape. So yes, we've lost some beach, but so far we're looking good as far as these houses go. Boy, it's easy to walk with the wind at your back, isn't it? We'll come down here and take a look at some of the roofs here of these houses, and we're losing shingles at a pretty good clip. And I don't know if you can see this, but this house over here, I'm not sure if we can get around the corner of the building, but this house over here has lost about a half of its siding, and you can see the wood. And the siding is gone, and there goes some more siding getting blown out to the highway as we get hammered by these winds. Some of these are getting channeled around the hotel, and they're getting funneled, so we're getting a little bit better gust. Boy, it's just unbelievable out here. This is a Category 1, so you can imagine, well, a 2 or a 3, I wouldn't be out here. But thank goodness that this hurricane weakened somewhat, although it's a huge storm, as Dr. Knabb mentioned. A very low pressure, so the wind is spread out over a wide area, and that's why we have so many people losing power. Some of the crew up here told me that he told me his wife, they lost power up in Virginia Beach already, and they're not even close to the kind of winds we're getting here. So you can get an idea that many of you up the eastern seaboard tuning in, say from Philadelphia, New York, the Jersey Shore, the wind and the rain, even away from the coast, is going to take out a lot of power. Be prepared for that come later tomorrow into the first of the week, and I'm sure some of the power will be out for several days. Dr. Knabb, you talked about 2 more bands coming in. I had a chance to run in and take a look at the radar, and I see those down to our south and west, but it looks like to me the center, it was only a 1-hour loop, it looks like it's barely moving, but I'm assuming it is still moving north at over 10 miles an hour. What's the call there?
Yeah, I think that's still the case. You got to look at the motion over several hours to get a real beat on it. And it's still moving faster than 10 miles an hour, I believe. And well, one good thing for Mike, though, is he might not get the worst of the surge, because that's going to be amplified into the sounds farther to his west. So maybe the folks who have the structures on the coast there might be spared the worst surge in waves.
Mike, that beach is so wide. How wide is that beach from the water's edge all the way back to where the structures are?
You mean right now or before the hurricane hit?
Both.
Right now? Well, I can tell you right now, it's pretty wide. In fact, I'll walk out here. There was a berm at the edge of the beach where high tide would hit. Apologize for my back to the camera, but this is the only way to do it. Well, you can see how wide this beach is. And there has been now that I look at it, Mike and Dr. Nab, it's dropping off here. It's not a cut. We've seen cuts in beaches, literally you almost have to walk down a ladder. It's a general slope out into the angry Atlantic. So yes, we've lost some beach, but it's not a big drop off, but it's nice and wide. I mean, this is probably about 75 yards to the dune line, but still, they've lost some sand, and that's to be expected with a storm like this and with this wind, this eroding wind direction coming at us at the Outer Banks. We'll be out here, Dr. Nab and Mike, and keep you updated as we await the winds to back off sometime early this afternoon. Look at this picture. Looks like you're covering, we're out in Minot, Mike, covering a blizzard. Look at the sand down here right now.
Looks like he's in the Sahara.
Is that a great
with all
visual?
And there are some, Mike, thank you so much. We're gonna have a lot more from Mike. There are some instances even when a hurricane can build up the beach.
Yeah, in some places it does, and it takes away from others.
We're going to have more from Mike Seidel, Jeff Morrow, Dr. Nab, all when we come back. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we actually just heard about a rainfall rate in Philly of 1.5 to 2 inches per hour. Now, that was per hour.
Yes.
That was the amount of rain that we would need there to cause flash flooding over a 6-hour time frame. That's what we're getting in 1 hour's time right now. So the flooding is probably going to be, I would say, catastrophic in some parts of this region.
Yeah, and unfortunately in New Jersey, they're very well aware of Hurricane Floyd. We're not saying it's going to be another Hurricane Floyd, but it could be very, very bad in that direction, unfortunately. Kelly?
Unfortunately so. Thank you so much, guys. And of course, the Weather Channel, we are Hurricane Central. We have got you covered here. We have multiple crews from North Carolina all the way to New England to bring you live pictures and the latest information on Irene's impacts. In fact, right now, we want to take you live to Virginia Beach, where Eric Fisher is standing by. And Eric, we were looking at some video taken earlier. When would you say the worst of the storm was affecting your area?
Good evening, Kelly. Fortunately, we're taking a look at some improving conditions here slowly. It's going to be a long haul tonight. I mean, you look at the Outer Banks of North Carolina, you look where the center of Irene is, and the Outer Banks are still gusting over 50 miles per hour. So once the storm continues to work its way up the coastline, we could see additional power outages. Already 2 million people without power. And emergency management officials are saying that those people without power could wait up to 1 to 2 weeks before they get it back. So when we're out here days in advance, we're talking about a good idea is to get some cash, get food, water, supplies for several days because you don't know how long power is going to be out. There's your reason. A validation of the forecast here in the Virginia area. And we'll see those winds slowly wind down as we head into the day tomorrow. That video you showed, Kelly, a little while ago over by Sandbridge Beach, some of that damage, reported tornado taking the roofs off those homes there along Sandbridge. They also had overwash in that area, which means the ocean came right through those oceanfront houses. Beautiful homes, my family vacations there in Sandbridge. That water comes through the houses and then out into the road that's on the other side of them. So we've seen some significant impacts in Norfolk. The city was filling with rain. We were talking about a surge, I should say. We had people who were swimming through the streets in Norfolk. Now that the tide is starting to go out slowly, we'll see some improvement, but it'll be a very slow process there. And Kelly, we've also seen 3 fatalities in the state of Virginia. Unfortunately, that number perhaps will climb before we're all said and done. Either way you slice it, Irene, the first landfalling hurricane in 3 years, making a name for itself. Back to you.
Wow, swimming through the streets of Norfolk, Virginia, that is something, all right. And, you know, Eric, I know you're still under the threat for more strong winds and also some very heavy rainfall. Are you concerned? Are you seeing a lot of high water on the streets out there?
Yeah, you know, we watched some big rain totals in the Norfolk area. We talked about over 8 inches coming down. I haven't seen the exact update total just yet, but especially west of town, either side of the I-95 corridor. I mean, it was just pouring all day long. We still have a little ways to go yet.
You sure do, Eric. All right, we appreciate your coverage there from Virginia Beach on the southeastern corner of the Dominion State. Our live coverage continues next of Hurricane Irene. We are around the clock here at Hurricane Central. We've got the latest video as well as live shots up and down the coast, plus your forecast, a very important forecast as this is going to be impacting millions of people. We are constantly fine-tuning and tweaking that forecast. Of course, you can always get more information at weather.com as well. We've got extended coverage there, right there on the front page of weather.com. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining the Weather Channel for our continuing coverage of Irene. And this is the power of surge. This is Long Beach, New York, and the surge taking out this lifeguard stand and pushing it right into the boardwalk. And they even tried to fortify this with large sand berms that they had built up before the storm approached. It was no match for the water as it was taken out. Just some of the impacts that we're seeing in and around the New York City metro area this morning.
Combination of the high tide and the surge from Irene. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Irene on Jen Carfagno.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Bettis. Complete coverage for you this morning, from our crews out in the field to our experts here at the Weather Channel. We've got you covered.
All right, so we do want to give you the latest. It is still a hurricane. We have winds of 75 miles per hour with Irene officially. Now, we've had at least 10 deaths being blamed on this storm, and many police and fire departments have not been able to go on 911 calls.
More than 3 million people up and down the East Coast are now without power. 14,000 active duty National Guard troops are on standby to help with recovery.
All right, so our live crews remain in the thick of the action from Irene, and that includes Stephanie Abrams.
Stephanie joins us live from Long Beach. Stephanie, are you with us? We saw some pretty interesting video of that lifeguard stand. What was it like when the worst of the water came in?
You know, it's actually started to recede, Mike. It's interesting you say that. We've got the Long Beach Police Marine Unit right behind me here, so I can't hop over there. I'll walk in front of them here. The water, as if you've been with us all morning long, by the way, while I'm walking over here, I gave out my handheld anemometer. He said he got a wind gust of 58, so that's the highest we've seen here. The water was all the way up, you know, like halfway up here. It's now starting to recede. I think that has to do with several things. A high tide happened at 7:15, and also the positioning of the storm. I think the center of it is definitely nearing the area right now. And so for a while there, that water was very high. The good news is it's starting to come back. Now that lifeguard stand, I'm not sure if you can see it, depending on where my photographer is positioned here, has come up against the boardwalk. Now, Al spoke to one of the head lifeguards. He said in Gloria, that thing floated down about 4 blocks. They were able to get it back, obviously, and use it again because it's still here. And they do think that they will be able to recover this. Now, they are going to have some engineers come out and check out the boardwalk and make sure it's okay to step on it. And you know, I'm no engineer, but it's not like it took out the boardwalk, but still it could do structural damage still hitting against it. So they are going to check that out. So it's probably a good idea to stay away. I'm thinking that once the winds die down, they're going to put some tape up to make sure that there are no issues. But I definitely feel sturdy right here on the boardwalk where I'm located, so I don't feel like I'm in danger at all. But I think right maybe down where that lifeguard stand is probably not the best place to be.
High tide this morning, we saw the water come up at Battery Park. Jim Cantori was there and filed this report.
This is exactly what we feared last night. It's coming true just after 8 o'clock today, where we're coupling the high tide with the storm surge from Hurricane Irene. This is the boardwalk here at Battery Park, covered in about 6 to 12 inches of water, and you can see how this water has really risen just about right at the time of high tide. And the thing is the winds are still on shore, so there's a very good chance that this water is going to stay up for a while. The good news is, from what we've seen over the last few minutes, it hasn't gone up any further. And so certainly at the time of high tide, that's what we expected, the maximum height of the water. Now, it will be interesting to see, especially with the winds still on shore, how much water we're still going to get. Is it going to continue to pile up in through here? That's a pretty good question. Either way, it's going to be slow to recede until the storm goes to our north in about an hour and a half or so. But behind me again, guys, look at this. Looking down the boardwalk here at Battery Park, at nothing but 6 to 12 inches of water lapping up against some of these beautiful benches and the beautiful landscaping that exists here.
That's Jim Cantori's report that he filed just a little bit ago. Again, look at the water. The high tide happened right around 7:45 or so this morning, and that kind of corresponded with the highest surge potential as the approach of Irene came in with the trajectory of the winds. And so not necessarily surprising to see that, but I think to a lot of people that go there every single day, they expect it to be dry. So when you have the water there, it's a little bit shocking, but that water now appears to be receding now that the tide is going back out.
And let's go right now to NBC's Ron Allen. He is live in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Ron, what are they doing there in the harbor? Getting the boat secure?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a situation. It's really a dangerous situation. There was a boat loose in this harbor. You can see all those fishing boats behind me. This boat, which is a pleasure craft, has been floating around for the last 15, 20 minutes, heading in this direction. And all these guys who are working here in this factory are trying to secure it, because it's really a bad situation. I can see an emergency vehicle coming in direction behind me over here. It's the city of New Bedford. But Yeah, it's not a good thing. This is a secure harbor. There's a hurricane barrier about a half-mile out. All these commercial fishing boats are from all up and down the East Coast because this is a protected harbor. But as you can see, there's quite a strong surf. This is at least the second, maybe the third boat that's gotten loose over the last hour or so. The storm has really started to hit here in the last couple of hours. We're getting wind gusts that may be as much as I don't know, up to 40 miles per hour or so. They're saying it's going to get worse because this, of course, is the leading edge of the storm.